Today on The Daily, the All-Star opponent announced, switching locker rooms again in LA, and we'll take a look around the league at who's in and who's out for this weekend. Welcome to The Daily for Wednesday, April 11th with my aerodynamic co-host Simon Borg. I'm Jason Sagini. We finally know the All-Star opponent. It is Chelsea FC from the EPL. And Simon, this is a rematch of the 2006 All-Star game. Definitely an intriguing matchup.
It's an interesting matchup, Jason, for three reasons. First, Chelsea involved in the semifinals of the Champions League. They're in the FA Cup, and so they're still in the news. So they're an exciting team to follow. Second, this summer they're going to be in the news. The moves they're going to make, you got to believe there's some big names that Roman Abramovich wants to bring to Chelsea, and the managerial situation in flux. So they're going to be interesting news story to follow. And third, they have names of players who've been linked to MLS teams. We're talking about Frank Lampard, Didier Drogba. It's going to be a great chance for them to get another taste of MLS and for the questions to be asked again.
All right, well, we actually also found out the coach for this game. It will be Peter Novak, local to Philadelphia. He also coached MLS to a victory over Chelsea in 2006.
In a one-game situation, I love the fiery Novak to command a group of stars in this kind of setting. He's done it once already, but I think he's just a great fit. I mean, he's local, but I think he's also a great fit.
All right, well, he's got a lot of work to do on his own team before he takes over that All-Star team. One thing that we did find out yesterday about this game, something that could help Peter Novak, I guess, is that this will be the first smart soccer game from what Adidas tells us, Simon.
I'm going to get my iPad before this All-Star game. It's going to be a great way to follow a game real time. You get to know little details about following the player map, finding out how much power a player is using, how many accelerations they're having during a game. And also, it's a great chance to compare Chelsea players versus the MLS players and how they do in all these different categories.
Remember the AT&T MLS All-Star game, July 25th at PPL Park in Philadelphia against Chelsea. Late yesterday on the East Coast, we found out about a trade that happened in LA. How many times have we talked about guys switching locker rooms in LA, Simon, from Chivas to LA? And two players yesterday, Paulo Cardozo goes from the Galaxy, David Jr. Lopez goes from Chivas to the Galaxy. What's your take on this trade?
I think, Jason, this trade has the chance to benefit both teams. Why? David Jr. Lopez, look, in the displays he's had for Chivas USA, hasn't looked great, has made some blunders, and I think a lot of people believe that Chivas USA got the better of this deal by getting Cardozo. But here's the thing about Lopez. He's left-footed. This allows Bruce Arena to shift A.J. De La Garza, who's been playing left center back, to right center back. And this is a big difference. And then put Junior Lopez in that other left-sided spot. Right now, the center backs they have, Andrew Boyens and Tommy Meyer, they both occupy right center back position where A.J. De La Garza might feel a little more comfortable. So that is a big change, and Junior Lopez allows them to do that. Cardozo, this is the remaking of Real Salt Lake LA style. Where they're bringing in players who like to touch the ball. And Cardozo in a Chivas USA setup where he has other players like a La Broca, a Courtois, a Ryan Smith, guys who like to touch the ball and weave their way into the box, he could actually be a lot better player in that kind of setup. I think he could be productive.
Yeah, it should be very interesting to watch how this trade develops. Remember, I mean, these teams see a lot of each other, so they know what they're getting when they make this trade. Before we head out, we're going to take a look around the league, help you out if you're getting your fantasy team ready for the weekend. A lot of news and notes. Shari Joseph first, suspended for this weekend for New England, Simon.
You know, they're saying he didn't mean the tackle, but the disciplinary committee saying you can't tackle that way, whether you meant to hurt the player or not. If there was a broken ankle, there would be a whole hoopla over that tackle. But what this means, Kellen Rowe likely to shift in the middle with Clyde Sims behind him. Then maybe Pepe Moreno getting his first start looked good in Dallas.
All right, Corey Gibbs out in Chicago. I feel like we've said this every year for the past few seasons, Simon. Another injury strikes Corey Gibbs. What happens to the Chicago backline?
Interesting decision here for Frank Lopez because Austin Berry is probably the more athletic of the two available between him and Arne Friedrich, the German international, obviously, but he has a lot more experience. The matchup, though, is against the Houston Dynamo, and they pack a lot of power up front. I think the athleticism of Austin Berry despite the inexperience, might work better.
All right, two young center backs there. If he is paired with Jaleel Anibaba in that game, could be interesting. Two guys who may be out in San Jose, and this is a big one. Alan Gordon, Steven Lenhart, the two target guys for San Jose, are both doubtful for this weekend. This really could disrupt their offense because we saw what happened this past weekend when Simon Dawkins started up front. It didn't look great.
Frank Yallop says it. They need the target guy up top for Wondolowski to be effective. Now, they sat out practice yesterday, both Gordon and Lenhart, with hamstring issues. And I doubt they would want them to make the cross-country trip to New York if that's really an issue. What I think for Frank Yallop is he maybe looks at doing what Dallas did last year. Marvin Chavez maybe at forward with Dawkins, use the speed to really break through that Red Bulls back line and expose them. Wando may be outright. I haven't been a fan of that. That might work here.
Okay, one more player actually coming back to the field as opposed to the guys who are not going to be playing. Torsten Fring's much-needed return in Toronto, potentially?
Yeah, they're talking about him being days away, but he's still training on the side. I wouldn't risk him this early. I would give him at least another week. Maybe he comes off the bench, but I think it's a little too early when Winter is saying it's days away and he's still practicing on a side.
A couple final notes from the Pacific Northwest. Mauro Rosales, Adam Johansson still trying to get back on the field for the Seattle Sounders. Doesn't look like they'll be ready to go 90 minutes, but they could see some playing time in the upcoming weeks. And speaking of playing time, Eddie Johnson got 45 minutes in the Reserve League loss to Portland yesterday. Good to see him back on the field. Ziggy Schmidt talking about getting him some game minutes. And then I should mention on the Portland side, they did win 2-0 and got the shutout. And Brett Evans, the guy I mentioned yesterday, South African left back on trial with them, played all 90 minutes in that game. So we'll see what John Spencer has to say about his trialist. That's all we have for today. We'll be back on the Daily tomorrow with plenty more.